Boom, 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 boom. Beautiful people. This is the most blessed man alive, Tunji Adebayo. And as always, we are here together. It is Talk to Him.
This is Pivot and Proceed, the podcast. Sorry, Zuri, I know I stole your thunder there.
Hey, it's good. The intro got it. This is Zuri. What's up? I'm excited to be here. Episode 2, about to get it cranking. This is Pivot and Proceed. Let's
go. This is Kamau Olatunji, but I'm going to leave all the Tunjis for Tunji.
That's still a trip to me, by the way.
You want to tell the name? Yeah, you want to tell that story real quick? Actually, I'm going to tell it because I'm the one who discovered this. I was just looking at this guy, and Tunji, online, on his Instagram, the most blessed man alive. I couldn't find this guy's name to save my life. I wanted to collab with him. I was trying to put together a little flyer, and I couldn't find his name anywhere on his stuff. I'm looking way back at 2015, looking at old pictures. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I don't know how I actually came across his name. I think I might have Googled the school he used to work at or something, zoomed in on a name tag. And then I was like, I know his name is not Tunji. I was like, that can't be this brother's real name. And I hit him up. I was like, bruh, is your name Tunji, bro? He was like, yeah, that's my name. I'm like, bruh, that's my name, bro. That's my last name, bro. That's what everybody in high school knew me as. They knew me as Tunji. I've never met another Tunji, so.
Well, that's one of my favorite stories in life. And I be telling people Tunji in Nigeria is like Brandon. If you're Yoruba, Tunji regular. Over here, I get to be special. So we special over here,
Hey, I got to make it out to Yoruba. I need to be with my people.
Yeah, no, real talk. Nigeria, let them know. You going to pull up and be like, oh, for real? Yeah, people be hella excited to see you. Be like, that's not your name. Be like, nah, real talk.
Real talk. No, it's crazy though, because I ran into a couple Africans, couple Nigerians, and I tell my name, and they just look at me sideways and be like, yeah I'm kind of one of y'all. I'm kind of just kind of.
They look at you with that explain yourself face. Nah, you just not gonna say that's your name, and they keep standing there looking at me. You go.
Rep your hood, throw it up.
Right. You ain't really from this tribe.
Right. Get up on my street, man.
No, it's not even that, because the way the diaspora is looking, Nigerian fathers been all over this planet. So it's what is your story? It's not even you're not from this tribe. It's what is your story? This is, because even me, the craziest thing is last time I went back to Nigeria, I was on the airplane, didn't talk to anyone. Just sat there, was in my head the whole time, didn't say anything. I'm grabbing my bag to leave, and these Yoruba boys I think they're from Italy. And he's like, American boy. He knew. And it's just so crazy that you can see somebody from a different place, be like, nah, this is still me. But I can see the nuances from where you're from. Just like I could tell they're from Italy or somewhere these are Nigerian kids from Europe. So it's the same thing. They looking at you no, you're going to explain that story.
Facts.
Be like, who's your daddy? Essentially.
Hey, I'm gonna be a little vulnerable here, but I recently just discovered or fully comprehended what the African diaspora is. I've heard that word before, I've heard that term before, but I never really knew what that meant. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, this means all of the Black people that are all around the world, that are displaced, that are no longer in Africa, but share the same blood, the same features, the same origin. And we're all around the fucking world. And that to me was just such an exciting moment. I was like, there's actually a term that unifies us as a people.
Yeah.
But it's all across the globe. And I don't know why that excited me so much. Cause you know it intuitively, you see other Black people, you see some Black people in China or in Germany, and you I know that's not where your ancestors are from, but you're just out there and you know why, but when you actually like hear a term like that and look into it, you're like, oh shit, like we're all connected.
Yeah.
Like this thing is worldwide.
And I'm telling you, whenever you go to like a diaspora event, it's like almost like a coming to God moment. It's like that feeling when you see the word, you see it in real life. Like the fact that coming to the realization that being Nigerian and being Yoruba is just a drop of a bucket of what Blackness is. And then when you see like people from different areas that are so different, but still so much you, it's like a revelation of, I don't know, like how deep does it go? Like where can I still go and still find myself? And the answer is everywhere. And it's just like, it's dope. It's dope.
That's pretty fire. That's pretty fire. Hey, well, look, you know, I know all of us, I think the thing that we all share in common, because that's actually something I was thinking about a lot over the last week, you know, as I'm looking at, you know, there's a bunch of podcasts out here and I'm looking at like, okay, not only how are we different, but what makes us, what do we share with our audience, you know? And I think, you know, at least speaking for the three of us, because frankly, we don't have a huge audience yet, but just speaking for the three of us and what we share in common is I think that we are some motherfucking hustlers. Like, and I think that
it again.
We are some motherfucking hustlers, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't manifest in the same way, you know. Tunji's hustle is very different from Zuri's hustle, which is very different from my hustle. And we're all hustling different time zones, different places, you know, different interests, but like we definitely going to bring some hustle. And so with that, you know, I know every single day is a new day, you know, and if y'all have felt anything like I've felt, this year is just picked up with the quickness. So much has happened already. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to do to kick us off was just to do, what did you call it, Tunji? You had a certain
glows and grows.
And what's glows and grows?
So glow is kind of like, it's something you would recap. I can't remember what school I did it at first, but essentially it's you at the end of the class, you do a glow and grow for like yourself or someone else. Essentially, like what happened good today? What was a glow? What was a highlight? And then a grow. What is something I want to grow on? Or like however you want to look at it, something that made me grow. But it's just that perspective of rather being like highlights and lowlights. Like no part of your day was low. It's just that perspective switch of what part of your day is forcing you to grow, or do you want to grow on?
I gotta disagree on that.
Talk.
I gotta like that you can't have a low in a day. I feel like sometimes, and I feel like that's a good segment from the hustle comment, because like even though I jumped in and I said, "Say it again, Kamau, say it again." I feel like hustle culture. Hey, y'all can't see that, but that boy just dabbed. Okay. It's just like I feel like coming off the hustle comment, I feel like a lot of times hustle culture will really have us thinking that we don't need to sleep. Like, you know, like the popular thing is just like a lot of rappers and artists are always out here on these platforms looking dapper and they done got $1 million in their bank account, and now they just on these podcasts as guests and they on TV saying, you know, the reason why I'm here is because I don't sleep. And I feel like hustle culture is like at the intersection of kind of sadly what you just said, Tunji, where you're like, you know what, instead of a low, it's a grow. You know what I'm saying? And I like that avenue you were going, but I think we have to be more real with ourselves that even though in the growth, we can still be low. Like we can still feel like, you know what, today's not my day and I am very low today. It could be an emotional low. It can be a productivity low, you know, and I feel like a lot of times when we get on these platforms and we're saying, you know, we're hype and we're saying, you know, we hustling and we do it. We are like, we hustlers, don't get that wrong, y'all. Like we definitely hustlers in our own way, as Kamau just said. But I feel like let's start off and be a little bit more like vulnerable and just letting these people know, especially who look like us, that it's just like, I like to glow and grow, but it's just like, you can glow and grow, but you can also be low. And that's okay. You know You know
And
what I'm
I'll push
saying?
back a
And I
little
feel
bit
like
too,
all that flow.
because I absolutely agree. But what I will not do, I will not give a low day. I will not let low moments create a low day. And that's just a mentality, right? Like I refuse to, like, because I'm really like living in the, I could die today. And I don't want to die in my sleep or wake up like going to bed like, dang, that was a low one. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I ain't having it. So me, it's like there's positive things that happen too, no matter how small. If I can, sometimes I have to even create them, and that's the difference, right? Like I have these low moments, and then I'm like, oh no, I got to get my momentum back. Let me create a high one. So what do I love to do?
The person who just started figuring out, and they actually just started looking in the mirror and being okay with being low, right? Because I hear a lot of growth in you of saying, you know, I only have low moments, and that's great. But what about the people who are listening right now where they're like, yeah, it sounds great, but like I was low all day and I had a low, you know, 8 to 12 hours, however long they were awake. Like, how did you get from having that mindset of being like, of grabbing your mind, right? And just being like, no, it's not going to be just a low, you know, it's not going to be a whole low day. It's only going to be a low moment. Can you give some, you know, game to our listeners of like how you got to that point? Cause I feel like that's big. Like,
yeah. And I think it's like, it's a big step to realizing that you can control your own brain, right? You can dictate how you feel. That's a big step. And what you're saying is real, because sometimes it feels like we're just victim, and as a result of whatever I think, it happens. Like I can't control my emotions, but you can. But it actually takes action, and it's simple. Like, for example, like if I'm feeling all over the place, one of the most powerful emotions is laughter, and we know that. That's why we get lost in social media and we just scroll and kind of looking for that next high. I say, like, be super practical or go to YouTube. I'll find a comedian that I know is hilarious, and I'll set 5 minutes aside, like chasing a laugh. And then I'll get that laugh, and then I use that momentum. Okay, boom, this is this. And maybe I'll set aside and I'll think of a joke myself, or then I'll listen to a song. So then I'll stack these things that I know that I love. If we know anything, we know the little thing. You know that song, that banger that puts you in that place. You know you know what makes you laugh. So it's like finding those little things and stacking them back to back to back, even if it's 1 to 2. And then after that, the gratitude and the reflection on those two. That's the key piece, because it's so easy to have those moments and be like, oh, that was nice. And then we focus on the negative. It's like the same thing. You post, let's say you post something and 1,000 people are like, oh, you the man, you got the juice, sauce. It's like, and then one person is like, yeah, you ain't noticed that green stuff in your teeth. And now all you thinking about is, dang, like, why didn't I get that out of my teeth? Like, that's embarrassing. That's all you focus on, and not the other 1,000. I'm saying the biggest leap you can is to flip it completely. Focus on the 1,000, or in this case, for some people, you're right, it's absolutely low. But if you have one high and that's all you see, your entire life changes. If that's the main thing you see, your entire life changes. That's what I want you to sit with. Not something that happens in a day. But if you can just meditate and reflect on that fact of, if I can take that high point in my day and I can control it and I can meditate and reflect on it, that's the most important thing. The way your day looks, it shifts.
One of the things that because I did sales, and sales, you know, if anybody out there does sales, whether you work at a T-Mobile fucking store, or you know, you do door-to-door sales or whatever, like if you do sales, shout out to you, because it's hard as hell. And one of the things I think doing sales for me really, because it really forces you to self-regulate, because your job is to hear no, and you hear no so much. And that was just something, you know, I'm a positive person, and I like to be around positive people. I like to laugh, even at work. I'm always joking. I'm always having fun. In school, I got kicked out of the class because I'm like joking. I mean, some of the funniest times in school, quick sidebar, some of the funniest times in school is when you know you cannot laugh. When you know you were not supposed to laugh. You trying to hold it. You on the last strike, and you know you cannot laugh.
That's when you do that laugh when you got your mouth closed and then it just bursts out.
And the homie says something that's not even funny, but you just get like,
it is
booty juice. And you're like, ah! Everybody rolling like
literally, bro. Literally. So like as a person, like I love to just laugh. I love to have fun. And in sales, like your job is to penetrate somebody's barrier that they're trying to tell you no, because they're not interested. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to hear what you got to say. And you have to mind fuck yourself to be like, no, what I am selling is valuable. Like what I have to offer can help them. And like it you know, you could tell yourself all you want that, but like it is still very hard to hear no 20 times a day. So anyway, one of the exercises that I used to have to do is I'd have to go sit in my car. Like if I heard like just 7 straight no's, I'd have to go sit in my car and I'd have to just like let myself know like today is not a bad day, you know, like it's a bad moment. Like shit is bad right now, or like I'm really frustrated, but like I'm choosing to not let the whole day go to hell. So that was kind of something that a practice that I did, and it worked for me. But to Zuri's point, I also just came off of one of the most life changing injuries I've ever been through, where it was months, months and months and months of just sheer pain. Every single day I'm waking up and it's omnipresent, where I can't escape it. And it's just like, it's exhausting and it wears you down over time. And like, you can't just check yourself because you're going right back to the thing. It's not the end of a shift. It's not the end of a job. Like it is omnipresent, this challenge that you're dealing with. And so I see truth in what both y'all are saying, honestly.
That's a good point.
Because like there are seasons of life, like we talked about on the first episode, that are just slow, that you're not at the high point, that you're not killing it. And even though I think there's ways that you can reframe yourself and reframe your mindset and stay positive, generally speaking, I do think like there are definitely some low moments. And especially as we want to tip our hat and as a society become more conscious about mental health, like I think sometimes depending on the person, it can feel like if you're trying to be too positive, you're deflecting or you're like negating, somebody's feelings about something. And I think that's such a unique thing though. Like everybody kind of feels differently about that, because I naturally I try to like push myself to be more kind of like Tunji, but I've also been through seasons of my life while I've been forced and I've just been like just stuck in such a low place where I know that sometimes it's not as easy as just like a quick reset,
Yeah, I was really liking what you're saying, and I had 2 things that come to mind, and again on episode 2 is about to be a real vulnerable moment for me. So one, I have literally so I'm in therapy. I started like in 2018 when I really started to notice that, like, 2 claps, because it's been helping. But like I've started to realize that, one, I was dealing with a type of anxiety, and the type of anxiety I was dealing with was, even though I'm an extrovert, man, y'all, like I would deal with like social anxiety sometimes, to the point where my mind would kind of like go left a lot of times. I'm getting to a point, just stick with me. My mind would like go to the left a lot when I was, moved to a new city, was living alone. And that was the first time where I realized, you literally, like you said, Tunji, you literally have to grab your brain, or like what you're thinking, those thoughts in that moment, and you have to try your hardest to bring it back to reality, or bring it back to positive thoughts, or bring it back to thoughts, whatever higher power you believe in, to really get you back on track. Or you could literally think yourself into a hole and think yourself into, low moments, or really bad days. And like, that's my example of like, y'all, like if y'all feel like that, if y'all think that like that, man, y'all not alone. Like, don't think y'all crazy. Y'all not alone.
Thanks.
It's more people, going through that out here. But just I know it sounds crazy to grab thoughts, but like one thing I do, I literally have to envision myself physically like grabbing something out of the air, balling my fists up, and literally like pulling it back. Like that's the only way that like I can feel that, like, what, this thought is not right, or this thought is not helping me at all. It's not about being right or wrong. It's just not helping me in this moment. And I think that's a really good way, if anybody was looking for any advice of like, man, like that sounds great, but like, how do I do that? What Tunchi brought up, to really just grab that thought and take it back to the right side, to have yourself feel sane, like, for the rest of the day. And then another thing I wanted to say, so I have like this friend, right? Love her to death, but she's always so positive. Like, and I have people in my family who's like that too, who's like always positive. I feel like when things go wrong, I don't know if it's like an avoidance type of style or if it's literally, they've literally just trained themselves to be positive. But I feel like there's always maybe two sides of the story or a gray area. And for a while, I lived in the gray area in my life.
Can you
And I
can you
feel like,
elaborate more on that gray area? What do you mean by that?
yeah, so like in the gray area of either are you avoiding, right? You're on one side and you're avoiding things in your life, and that's why you're so positive. Or are you on the complete other side where it's like, no, I'm really positive. I have trained my mind, or I'm just like this, where if anything goes wrong in my life, I'm positive. I feel like the gray area, what I mean by that come out is you're kind of on the fence. I see the gray area as a fence, where it's like one day you're like, no, I'm just gonna avoid that, whatever. I know it's bad, but like, hey, positive. I hope everybody has a great day. And you get in front of people, you get in front of your friends or loved ones, and you put on this mask. I also see the gray areas like a mask of just putting on this mask because this is going to get you through the day. You're low, you're not right, you're not in the best space, but you're just it's a habit almost too, that you're just positive. And I see that sometimes in family members and friends. And I always wonder if it's like the avoidance, because I just feel like in life, everything can't be positive. And that's one thing too that I just like wanted. No, like it's not. It
Facts.
can't be.
Facts.
It can't. But I
Zuri's the
also get
Grinch
it.
out here, y'all.
But
No, I'm just
no,
playing.
I'm not the
No,
Grinch. I'm
she
being
talking that- she
real. And
talking what's
if
good.
being real is the Grinch, I will wear that green suit. Because I don't get it. I just like, I would love to be positive 100%. Like when I see that, I think that's great. But then I'm like, where's, is that person being real? Or are they being so real that they're just being authentically themselves? And maybe I need to get on the bandwagon, like, and that's that gray area that I was saying. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, a few responses. Number one, to the first thing about living alone and what that does to your mind. I think about that a lot. We as human beings are not meant to live and be alone. In the history of mankind, like, it does not exist. That's without insanity, without some type of without it being a problem, without it being an issue. So that doesn't mean don't live in a house alone, but that means you need to be very active about how you build community. About, okay, do I join this club? Do I join this group? Do I play this sport? Do I do this thing? You can't just be hope I meet people. Nah, you need to figure out how do I I'm about to say infiltrate. How do I integrate myself into a community? You know what I'm saying?
Tunji
Like a place with fertile soil where I can grow and thrive and build like organic and real relationships. And the second point to Zuri is like, I was really reflecting on what she's saying is like, nah, and you too, Kamau, about the constant pain. And I was like, how did I get to this point where my brain works like this? Because with me, it's organic now. And I feel like it always was, but previously it was from a sense of ignorance, a place of ignorance, right? Not really understanding what people are going through, not really understanding what 24/7 pain looks like. Like, because I'm blessed, I never had that perspective of an injury or my mind going to that place. And then when I had an opportunity, not even before I had an opportunity to go to that place, when I went through it through the lens of my kids, students that are going through it day after day, and you only see glimpses of joy from them. And some of the hardest experiences in my life, to hear a traumatic experience that your student shares with you, and all you can say is, I love you, and I'm here for you. You have no answers. You have no solutions. You have nothing to make it better. And they're going to wake up to that pain and that struggle tomorrow. And what I feel like really built my mind around all these strategies is the fact that I became obsessed with not feeling that anymore. With me saying, I love you and I'm here for you being the baseline. And I feel like even me, like, I'm starting to forget that piece that I need not to. So this is a good reminder. that the very baseline, a lot of times it's not about strategies and saying all these things. Sometimes it's shut up and sit with me. Just like you don't need to say anything to the person. Like if you don't have anything helpful to say, sometimes there's not even anything helpful to say.
That's tough. Look, I want to jump in because I think I struggle with that piece. You know, when somebody comes to you and or maybe they don't even seek you out. Maybe like y'all are just in conversation and they just drop it on you. You know, like to not say something like to. What the are you supposed to do? You know, like if somebody just drops some like you are you telling me because you want me to feel bad too? Like what's the goal here? Like
you want to know something I learned, Kamau, to help with that? Because we relate on that. One thing I've learned that you can do to help you in that moment when somebody's, I call it emotionally dumping, right? So like if somebody's doing that, one thing I've learned, you can ask them the question, do you want me to listen or do you want advice? And while that person is like just dumping and they're just telling you their pain and sorrow, sometimes people just want to talk and they just want to get it out. Because like you said, the students, some people don't have parents at home who are even emotionally stable enough to hear the pain.
Yeah.
And they might be avoidant to it so they can survive, so they can provide for the student. I'm just speaking as student because
no, these facts. Yeah.
And I just feel like that I've learned that question helps because I was a fixer, you know, in relationships, whether it was friendships, family now.
I too was a fixer.
It's like, and when somebody tells me something, my mind doesn't automatically listen because I love you. Mine is more of like the love language of action, of just, what is the love language? Acts of love, I think.
Acts of service.
Like, because you're telling me this and I love you, or if you're a friend and I fuck with you, whatever, when you tell me that you're sad, I'm thinking of solutions of just like, okay, maybe if we do this, they'll feel better. And that's like a surface level help or fix. But like sometimes my mind goes deep where it's like, well, if you do this, well, I'm in therapy. And if you go to therapy and if you talk about this, and if you know that like you're like this because of this way. And it's like, some people don't want that. Some people just want someone to talk to who know they're going to be there, be a listening ear, and not tell anybody their business. So going back to that, the question, try this, Kamau, just be like, in that moment, your mind is racing like, man, I really want to help this person. I don't know what to do. Just say, hey, would you want me to just listen to you right now? Or do you want me to help you get a solution? And they gonna tell you. Some people gonna be like, man, honestly, I just want somebody, you know, to listen to. And I think that will also be good for Black men too. Because I feel like a lot of times, just like from my side, right? I see that happen where some of my male friends, they'll just start talking. I'm like, you know, we're just talking about a lot. But sometimes I feel like Black men don't really have a lot of places to go. And I want you all to jump in too, because of course you could talk to this and see if I'm head on or just what I've noticed or your experience. You know, maybe you all can help other Black men out there. But like, that's just something I've noticed. And I think one of my male friends, you know, came to me and was just like, just thank you. Like, just for listening. Like, he was like, I've never had anybody just listen and not try to, you know, or just listen, period. And I thought that was so powerful because it didn't take any act for me. It didn't take any sweat equity. I just sat there, listen, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's one way too, to get through those barriers of not overstepping people's boundaries, not thinking that you have to fix everything. Cause sometimes that can come back on you and be very heavy, you know, thinking that you have to fix, you know, everybody or everything that comes your way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what it really made me think about, like, from that Black man perspective is that, like, again, like me being blessed, I live in a different like reality of a community where I really do talk about these things and share these things. Like with my boy, like I've known him, my best friend, Ashik, I've known him since I was 10 years old. So like he's gotten me out of so much trouble and vice versa and everything like that. Like it's just so natural because before you, and he's also, what changes the dynamic is he's not Black, he's from Bangladesh. So he doesn't necessarily subscribe to, it's like a different type of like male, like this is what being a man means. But the age we met, and because he's from a different place, and then my other best friend Sam as well, it's easier to have these interactions. My interactions with them, because one's from Bangladesh, the other's from Israel and Jordan. So my interactions with them are totally different from my Black male friends. I'll say it like this. It's way easier to say I love you to them than to other Black men. Way
Powerful.
easier.
I love you.
Yeah, right. And you know you love this man. Like it's that type of thing. Like, bro, I die for you today. Like all the, like those type of people. Like this
For
is
sure.
my day one. Like your mama helped raise me type. And you know you love this man. You know that's your brother.
You just can't say it.
But you can't say it. And the question is why, right? The question is why. It's like, nah, that's not what.
That's not what we do.
That's not what, you know what I'm saying? And that's just one example of so many things that like shackle us. So when is the point where you can even share something with somebody? Because even as a Black man, it's like to have problems that you're not just beating them down and handling them, you weak. To have a problem that you're not in the process of addressing. So it's like to get to share a problem that because sometimes we're not ready to address it yet. And that's the reality. Sometimes we have problems where we know the answer. Ain't nobody need advice because I know what I need to do. But I just want to share my pain because I'm not ready to do it. And a friend will sit there and hear your pain, though we both know the solution and we both know you're not ready for it yet. So it's like for you to sit there and hear the problem and not be like, well, you need to do this. I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
Listen to me.
Let me get it out.
That kind of demand though is so awkward to hoist upon your friends, and it depends, right? Because I got some brothers, like I got brothers in my life, you know. I have a blood brother, but I also got some brothers, you know what I'm saying, from the streets, from the playgrounds, you know what I'm saying, who started with me, who've been with me. So I think to that extent it's a little bit different, but I also got a lot of other brothers who I'd say who if I seen them on the street, I'd be like, or I was talking to somebody and I reference them, I'd be like, yeah, that's my brother. But like, it's, you know, we don't go as deep as maybe blood. We don't go as deep as maybe like, you know, whatever, but like we still got history.
Yeah.
I'll just call them second, like my second brothers or my second removed brothers, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But I think there's a lot of those. I feel like all of us have kind of people who we know, we have a decent relationship with. We have a good relationship. We would consider them friends. But to say like I love you, or to hoist a demand that's like I just need you to hear me out, you know, and that person might even hold space for you at that moment. That person might, you know, actually listen to you, but they're definitely gonna think you're a weirdo afterward. They're definitely gonna be like, what's up with this guy? Like, see a little, you know what I'm saying?
It could be your ego too, though.
Well, but check this out though, because I think a part of it is when you do stuff like that, because as a Black man, I would just say I'm pretty tough. Like I can take a lot of shit. I'm used to it. You know, I feel like I'm almost conditioned to be able to take shit. So when you do try to be more conscious of your emotions and conscious of how you're feeling, it's not normal for you. Not only is it not normal for me, but it's not normal to the people listening to me, to the people hearing me out, especially if they're not in my inner circle like that. Because now you're getting to see me vulnerable. Now I'm asking you for help. Now I'm asking you to lend an ear. And it's like, fuck wrong with, I mean, like, okay, but like in the back of their mind, they're asking like, that was kind of weird. Like, you know, like,
and I think go ahead.
I mean, just to close out my thought, like it's in a lot of ways, just depending on how tight your friend circle is. Cause I know a lot of people don't have a lot of friends, you know, I think, and don't come from, you know, small, tight-knit neighborhoods. You know, you might've grew up in a predominantly, you know, different area where like you were just a super minority. Like maybe you don't have those same luxuries as maybe I had growing up, or other people. Maybe you don't have a big family, whatever. Maybe you really do feel like a lot of this burden I do carry. Being this way is so abnormal that, you know, it's hard. It's hard to give not only yourself permission, but it's I think like as a Black man, it's hard to expect the world to feel any kind of sympathy, to feel any kind of empathy for a situation that you're going through. You just like, fuck it, they don't give a damn. Like, what am I even wasting my breath sharing this for?
You're right. The world don't. That's just keeping it a stack. The world does not. And in fact, even to make your point like more like salient, it's not even the outer circle doesn't. Because I'm not talking about the outer circle here. Like there's an inner circle, and I would even teach this to my students when they're going to high school. There's difference between the inner circle and the outer circle. That outer circle, you can crack jokes with them, you can kick it with them, you can. But I saw this, I can't remember what podcast it was or what like talk show. She was like, only share your story with people who have earned the right to hear it. So that's the inner circle. And that's who you judge. Like people who like, where if this went bad, it would be worth it. That's how close I feel to this person, right? If things went bad, it was worth trusting them in this moment with this piece of my story. That's inner circle. Where if it does go bad, you don't feel like an idiot. At least be confused by it. Like, like I knew this person, right? No, it made sense. It made sense. Like, yeah, I'm not perfect. Things didn't play out like it was. Like, I may need to branch out and find new people, find new community groups, all those different things, because this ain't it. But I tried with what I had. That outer circle, no, they don't get that. They don't. That outer circle, we crack jokes. Like I call it like lunch table friends. Like, at school, the lunch table, you just eat lunch together, y'all crack up, you crack jokes. You may see them at a party or something like that. But
so this is a little bit of an interesting. This is a little bit of an interesting segue, and I'm curious. I'm sure y'all have heard this adage that all skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Kinfolk.
And I think as this pertains to what we're talking about being a Black man or a Black woman and dealing with emotions and wanting to share them with people, and you talk about inner circle, outer circle, you know what I'm saying? I think as Black folks kind of navigate in this world, there is a certain thing that I feel, but at the same time, I also know that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And so how do you guys, and I'm happy to weigh in on this, but how do you kind of go about deciding when it's appropriate to try to bond over skin, to try to bond over this common experiences, maybe this common emotional suppression that we as Black people have?
So have y'all ever felt the feeling of when you share something with someone, and you can call it intuition, discernment, whatever it might be. But I have another thing with this too. And you felt like you overshared. It's like after you've shared, you got vulnerable, you all are in that moment. And as you said, skin folk, I might have thought in that moment, I could be vulnerable about this topic because you Black.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, and it's like,
oh God.
In that moment, I'm like, after you're done and you let that awkward silence kind of, settle, which is normal after someone's vulnerable. And then it just feels like you overshare because they don't have anything to come back with. They just kind of look at you like you look at Kamau like, well, you'll get through it. I feel like that's when I know where it's just like, I shouldn't have done that, which means they're part of that outer circle, as you were saying, Tunji, because I feel like people who are in your inner circle, you won't feel that awkwardness or like that oversharingness from the aspect of them not just being for you. Like you might feel that embarrassment of oversharing just because you're being vulnerable. And I feel like that's a normal feeling. But just that feeling where you're kind of like tense up, where you're like, I wish I could take everything I just said back. You did not hear me say any of that. That wasn't for real. That was all fake. Like, that feeling. I feel like, dang, all folk ain't kinfolk. You just have to go with, they can go away, come back. But I feel like sometimes you just have to go with what in that moment of how it feels, how it was received. Are they coming back with anything to make you, feel comfortable in that moment? And if not, I think that's your answer,
Yeah. And me, I come from a unique place with it because I was definitely in that place for a minute. Like, nah, not to be trusted. I ain't got time for it, right? And I was like overwhelmed at a point because when I think about like, quote unquote, like Black liberation, right? What does it look to get us to the proverbial there? To the like, and I obsessing over this, just like true progress. So for a while it was like, okay, I was thinking about this earlier today, and it just hit me like really when it was like the whole Black Lives Matter thing, and like to go through so much life, and then for it to be 2020, and white people like were like, there were so many white people that were like, I had no idea what this is going on. Like all these pros, and I'm like, nah, I ain't having it. I'm not having it no more. And I really had to take my mind to a place of like, how do we get there, right? For me personally, in my mission and what I want to do, if not a single quote unquote white ally was involved. And then I had a mission to all this say, I had a mission to get to 100 million Black men, like chasing flow state, this healthiest version of themselves. So now I got to the mindset of, I don't have the luxury for all skin folk not to be kinfolk, right? I need you. So now I don't bond on skin then. I'm like, what is my entry point?
There we go.
Like y'all, like I can bond on skin, you can bond on, and by skin, we mean like culture, like common experience. Like with them, then I have to find another inlet. It's not the experience of like being Black in America. It's the experience of, I don't know. I was about to say something ignorant. I don't know.
Say it.
I was about to
Say it.
I don't know, like Gap G's, the Republican Party, Donald Trump. Like, so what do you feel about these views? What do you feel about like pulling yourself up by the bootstraps? And they're like, don't get me started, and getting an entry point where I can understand you, understanding people. But yeah, like for an individual to just live in life and you're just trying to get through, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. It's true. Nobody should just walk around not realizing that there are people in this world with bad intentions. Period. Or not there, and even not even bad intentions, their own intentions first. Like people walking around, I'm hungry and I'm trying to eat. And sometimes you look like food. That's the reality. And if you don't walk around realizing that, you end up being food sometimes. So yeah. That was a lot to say. That was a lot to say that.
Yeah, this is a touchy topic. Let me sit up. This is a touchy topic because I think there's a lot of controversial takes you could take here, and I don't think the purpose of this conversation is to be controversial. It's more so just to kind of speak on experience and to speak on life and being vulnerable and how to define your inner and outer circle and how to navigate and all of that, right? So I don't think anything we're trying to say here is controversial, but it's a fact. I mean, this is something that we're living through, and I think the way that I've just kind of I connect with people, right? Because I connect with everybody. I connect with white folks. I connect with Mexican folks. I connect with different folks from Latin America, different Hispanic folks, Europeans, folks from Africa. Like I one of the things that I like to consider myself as a citizen of the world. I don't just limit myself to, I'm this or I'm that. Like I really believe like I'm a soul first. And so like, whatever. So my purpose in saying that, I think is culture is something that really makes me feel connected to people. It's the culture that you're a part of. And it's a feeling too. I know y'all share this, and I think a lot of Black folks, especially, like really relate to this like vibe thing. Like, oh, I like your vibe. I like how you feel. I like the energy that you give off. And so much to me, like, I mean, there can be some cold Black folks who are just cold, like not cold in like ice in your veins way, but just cold in like the frigid way. Like you just don't give me energy. You don't give me life force, and I think like a part of this is just having to really trust that instinctual, almost primal, like, what's your energy like? How do you move? And frankly, I've met some just white people, blonde hair, blue eyes, who just had an energy. And it's like, that's unusual. I've never seen I've never really seen somebody kind of move it like that. Like that's unusual. And I think just energy, I mean, especially now that I'm here in Mexico, it's so interesting, right? Like I am a super minority. And yet I'm still connecting with people. And a lot of it is just energy. A lot of it is just like they feel me, like I don't know what the fuck you're saying. I can't speak. I can't say a sentence if I wanted to, but it's just a smile. It's an energy. It's a vibe. It's a laughter. And it's just like, I think for me, I try whoever I'm sitting across, whether they're skin folk or not, I just try to lean with an open heart. And then how you respond, if you reciprocate that, then we can build something. But if you don't, then I kind of know, I'm like, all right, say less. Say less.
You kind of do the Heisman on them, Kamau. If you don't feel the energy, the Heisman,
No, that's real, because I feel you, because I definitely love people. Like, I love people. I want to see the world interacting. Culture is one of the most beautiful things on this planet. And I feel like so many people now are part of that. Like, I want to quit my job and travel the world generation. I want to go here, eat this food, lay on this beach, do this thing, activity, learn how to do this different skill. Like, we all have, like, not even delusions of grandeur. Like, we all like chasing that. Like, freedom for a lot of us looks like travel now. That's what freedom looks like.
Different experiences.
So just to your point of like opening and leading with your heart, like, I feel like the world opens up to you when you do that. It really does. I can't even I even had another point that I wanted to get to, but I just got like lost in that thought in the moment, because that has really been like a testament to my life. That when you open your heart to people just openly and you present, you get to see the best of people. You get to see the best of people. And I think it's an art form to learn to know how vulnerable to be. Because if you can give somebody a piece, they give you a piece too. That reciprocity. And being able to engage with somebody and say, okay, what piece do they need to open up to me? And if you can pay attention to people enough, and that's been the biggest, I'm talking about like a freedom, right? This is freedom. When you go into conversations immediately believing the other person to be interesting, assuming it. Now you are listening to them and you're not thinking about, how do I look? Is there something on my face? How my clothes? How my outfit? And it's not about you anymore. Once you remove yourself from the center and you're engaging with another human being, trying to learn them and know them, because that was my original point. And this is what teaching taught me. When you truly know a human being, and I will bet my life on this, when you truly know a human being to their core, their story, it's impossible not to love them. I'll say that again. When you truly, I don't care who it is, once you truly know a human being, you know their story, it's impossible not to love them. So when you go into a conversation with that mentality that they are interesting, you start to find it. And then you're able to listen to the nuances, the piece of what you want. But when we go into like you said, that emotional dumping, people are like, whoa, too heavy, right? Go ahead and like your baggage, go ahead and take that back, because I ain't asked for that. It's too much. But when you go into that perspective of, I truly want to know this person, then it can become a beautiful thing. But it's that like double-sided, that, what do you call it, the double-edged sword. Because if you live in an environment that's like has a lot of toxicity, then a lot of people are going to end up dumping on you, right? Like, I truly want to know you. And they'll be like, well, let me tell you about the time I was raped. I was molested. You're like, whoa. Like, it's 10 a.m.
That's
right?
So real.
We met yesterday, and you get so much, and then that begins to burden you. If you take it on your shoulders, like, I'm supposed to carry this. But it's not your job to carry it. And that's another thing too. I let myself have a moment, feel, empathize, but also let it flow through me. I let it flow through me because it's not mine to carry. I can listen, I can be a sounding board, and I can keep. One of the best things you can do for someone is keep it. Just keep it and let it flow through and give them that moment, and not share it with somebody else or anything like that. And that is love. I'm telling you, people respond. You become somebody's day one inner circle immediately when they can like give. You let it flow through, and you didn't like you said, Zuri, you didn't say anything to old boy. You just sat there and listened, And
That's
it
it.
was so impactful. He came back like, yo, nah, I appreciate that.
Yep.
I appreciate that. Because he probably has no one else he can go to. Because if you go to a family member, you want to tell your brother, now you're going to tell sister, that's going to tell mama, like, hey, DeAndre going through it. You know, he talk about
that boy weak or whatever they, whatever they'll
he
say.
getting soft. He talking crazy.
Like,
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to be able to actually talk to someone and they're going to keep it.
Yeah. Facts.
Like,
so I want to speak to something you said, Tunji, because me being an empath, I struggle with, but working on to grow in this area, to listen to someone and not, and you said the best thing you could do is keep it, right? But one thing that I'm working on to stop doing is to let someone's story affect me. Because like you gave the example of people, telling someone their traumas or telling something that happened to them, I think is coupled with my personality to want to fix things, where it's like when someone tells me something, it just stays with me for so long. I feel bad. I want to know ways to, make it better. But that can be heavy because like you said, it's not my responsibility. I think you said, but that can be so hard to listen to another human being who's being open. We're being open with each other, but then now I'm hearing things that this beautiful human is going through in this moment. And just my personality is like, now I'm carrying it, now I'm like, I'm thinking about it. I guess you could say obsessing over the fact that like it's fucked up what they're going through. And I think what you're saying is a very important piece. Is going to help people to just be like, hey, like that's not yours to carry. But I think it's also going to take, time for, I can only relate to someone who thinks like me, right? So I'm speaking to that person who relates to me right now, where it's like, that's going to take time, which is taking me time to just listen to something and let it flow. Cause like, that sounds so freeing. That sounds so freeing to be there for someone, to listen, but to not go to bed at night and thinking about it. Because I didn't let it flow and it's still on my shoulders. It's still in my head. But again, that's not even my burden or, problems to carry in that moment. So that's crazy. It's just like, how do we stop doing that?
One of my centering questions is, what am I in control of? Like, honestly, what can I actively do something about?
Actively.
Yeah, like what can I physically, like emotionally, what can I do something about?
Yeah.
And if you can spend like 5 minutes, if it's burdening you that much, right? Sit down, get out a sheet of paper and really write down, okay, as far as this situation, what can I do something about? If you get one thing, do the one thing and then feel free to keep it pushing. If you get nothing on that paper, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And then you able to sleep better because you gave yourself the due diligence to put in the time.
Yep.
Say, I didn't have to, but am I in control of anything? And you're not. And then it gives you so much more power to do the things you are in control of. Because, okay, now I'm free of this because I couldn't do anything if I wanted to. What can I actually do?
Hey, if I still wanted to, I know we went on a super tangent, but I still want to hit this glows and grows before we close out.
Oh, snap.
Oh, dang. We've been gone.
And real quick before
been
that,
around the world and back.
Yeah. Around the world one more time is the perfect, because that's what I meant to say, Kamau. What you said about like being in Mexico and being able to bond with people that aren't like your same skin color, but making those connections off of vibes. Environment matters. Environment matters, especially I'm talking about with Black people. Like, you can be in Atlanta, Georgia, you're spoiled. You don't got to give every Black person you see the head nod. You don't, because you're going to be head nodding all day. Like, I see you, and then it's okay to get like lost in yourself because we spoiled by it. Well, I don't know if it's okay, but we do. But if you in Nebraska and you see a Black person every 2 weeks and you don't look at me, I'm going to feel some type of way. Nah, you see me.
It's real, man.
It's real. So environment matters. Environment, and I feel like that's a nuance that just to take into account. So if you in Nebraska and like me and Kamau, the only two brothers there, and he want to be in his phone while we walking down the street after he saw me. Like, nah, I'm crossing the street.
You a sellout.
Yeah,
but it's so, to me though, it's not even like, you could, to even take this a different way though, like to thinking about it from an environment perspective. One of the things that I was thinking about is that, like, say if you're in a halfway house, you know, say you're recovering from something, right? Like, God, like that environment matters. Say you're in group therapy. Say you're in like, I forgot what they call when they do like the staying in the group therapy. Like it's like it's some kind of like in-house thing or whatever, where you're like living there and it's like a 2-week period, whatever. So things like that, you know, when you come across people who've gone through so much in their lives, right? And like that whole, oh yeah, I was raped or molested, but oh, hold on, it's 10 a.m. Like that really does happen. Like people really do talk about that shit first thing when they wake up, just because they're so entrenched in everything that they've gone through, you know? So, I mean, to this environment piece, I think it is so important, you know, and sometimes you can control it and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're just a part of it. But I think awareness, and I think like not doing what you can to not succumb to that environment. I don't have the answers. I don't have all the answers on how to not do that, but it definitely matters. I literally moved across the world because of environment. You know, it's so important to the rest of your life. It changes the way that you show up in the world is largely based off of your environment. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and just another point. I don't know. I guess my heart always goes out to like kids, because I feel like they're the ones that feel not just kids, but people also in poverty. They're super vulnerable, like, to their environments. They just can't pack up and go, right? And I think about this African proverb that I've been sitting with that's really making a lot more sense lately. It's like something to the effect of never call your home a jungle. And it's just that idea of, you know, like it's a jungle out here, you know, and if you see it like that, if everyone you see is a predator, that means you're prey. Like that and that really like sat with me. And all of this to say is, when you see everything that's crazy that's going on around you, there are always oases. Even if it's not like your ideal people, they'll be like a grandmother's house down the street or an auntie's house, or there's always like dopeness in every community, but sometimes we don't see it.
It's a choice like, too.
Yeah, so find that fertile soil.
To find that, yeah, exactly. Like it's the harder thing. I think what we're talking about here is definitely not the easy route. I think to be intentional with your words and with the way you're framing stuff and like all of that, it's not the easy route. The easy route is just to be like, oh, I live in a jungle. I live in a like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what made me.
Yeah.
And that's a popular phrase. Yeah. That's a popular phrase, you know, with people who, you know, as they say, you know, grew up in the streets, so the streets raised them. I think we've all heard that phrase. I'm a music head, so I always talk about, you know, phrases in music. So in music, we hear that I was raised in the streets raised me. And again, like you said, Kamau, it's a choice of just being like, yes, I was raised here, but this is home to me. You know, I've even heard that phrase, the jungle phrase too.
Same.
Where
in New York,
it's
especially.
Praised. Yeah, where it's like it's praised that I'm from the jungle. I'm a hustler. I'm in the streets, and it's like it sounds great behind a beat, but when you really think about it, when you go to therapy and talk about it, it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute now. It's in my lyrics, but I'm hurting. You know,
and it comes at a cost
about it, because what a jungle is, it's no stability. Everything is all over the place. There's no, is there even love in a jungle? You know what I'm saying? Like everybody is out to get theirs.
That's the question we're gonna sit on right there. Is there even love in the jungle? That's the album title. Go ahead, drop the mixtape. Is there even love in the jungle? Sheesh.
Facts.
All right, so can we make this quick pivot to close out with glows and grows?
Come on, we pivot and proceed. Of course we can pivot. Come on.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Talk.
Look at that
segue with us, man.
Nasty sauce.
All right. I think I'm gonna go for it first. I'm just kind of coming off the dome here. So grow this week. I'm gonna start with the grow as opposed to the glow. I think the grow this week has definitely man, my leadership has been tested. I lead a team now. It's my team. And it feels good to say that. But it's there's when I lay in bed, this is all I think about. The last couple of days I've been pissed as pisstivity, not at any one person, but just at certain situations, just at how stuff is being handled, at attentiveness, at just stuff, right? Just stuff that comes with being a part of a team and or trying to lead a team. And so my grow moment, I think has been compassion. I think naturally it's easier for me to be firm. It's easier for me to check people, and not in like I'm trying to shoot the one, like we trying to throw hands, like not that kind of check, but just checking like I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said. But at the same time, like when you're trying to galvanize people to move in a direction, you can't. There's only so much that you can do. If you really want to tap into what they're capable of bringing to the table, this isn't the army. I'm not working with soldiers. I'm trying to tap into these people's creative abilities and create things that come from genuine places. So I can't lead with fear. I can't lead with pissivity. I can't lead like I'm a drill sergeant. And it doesn't feel good to be either, like that's not a good, like to lead in that way, I think kind of corrupts you in a little bit anyway. And I don't want to be corrupted. I want to be able to, I want things to be able to flow through me. So anyway, my growth for this week has definitely been trying to find compassion in moments where I'm pissed off. And it's hard. I actually, tomorrow morning, I need to kind of give like, how do I say, I need to address my team and I need to say some hard truths, but I also need to be compassionate too. Cause I know I've kind of like, I've raised the bar and I've expected more out of people. But I also know that they're trying. And so, yeah, it's been a funny dance. It's been a funny dance. And I've really had to look at myself and I've had to ask myself, like, are you even living up to what you're asking them to do? If you were on the other side of this team, how would you be performing? So some of these questions that like I've had to ask myself and go back and forth with, like this whole leadership thing has definitely, it's pushing me to grow. So it's an interesting phenomenon. On the glow side, I don't know. I'm living my life out here in Mexico. I mean, shit's gravy. So yeah, I mean, beautiful sunsets, beautiful people. So yeah, I know that's kind of, I kept that a lot shorter than the grow side, but it's gravy.
We get it. We get it. Zara, you want me to go? You want to run it?
Yeah, I'll hit it. I'll say my growth part, not to be a head ass. I hate to be the head ass in the group right now, but I would say my growth part right now is literally pivoting from another transition that was out of my control. And then this goes back to the conversation we were just having some minutes ago on this episode about what you're not in control of. Let it go, or it will weigh on you. And you'll start thinking, where you could have been better, what you could have not done from the beginning to not even feel this right now. So I would say my growth part is, and I say it's my growth part because I could be so hard on myself. I could be so hard on myself for what I should have done, what I didn't do enough of, if I even gave my all to it. All these questions just go through my head all day, all day. And I felt like a growth part for me was literally just being okay with things that just don't go my way, or being okay with things that just don't feel right in the moment. Um, so I'll say that's definitely my growth part, because I know how my mind can go. It can go and it can make me feel like I don't even want to put that out in the world. It could just make me not feel the best. So that's definitely a grow moment for me. I would say my glow part would be in my friendship department. Again, this is crazy how this again goes back to what we were talking about earlier of just being open, like having an open heart. And in my friendships, I've noticed that. So I kind of got to back up here too, because this is a part of my 2022 goals. Usually for my usually for my new year goals, mine was always like goal oriented of like on the business side, or for my, nonprofit, or things that I just saw as like, this success type. But this year I did a little different, y'all. I said my 2022 New Year goals is to be more emotionally open, and to just
Right.
be able to receive from people that I claim to love. And I say claim because it's like we say we love people, but when it starts to get in that nitty-gritty of those hard conversations of they need to hear or that we need to hear, it's like we can get rude, mean. I'm saying we, but I'm talking about
Yeah,
myself.
no,
Because
no.
just getting that criticism, it just doesn't feel good, right? Because you start asking yourself, you're supposed to love me, like I know your family, I know, we're in a relationship regardless, but I'll say that's my glow part, because in my friendships, I've noticed that, we're just being more vulnerable with each other, having a lot more fun, and just being open with each other with things that I felt we were, not being as open or not being as truthful about. So that's definitely my glow. And I'm seeing that in other areas of my life too. And I feel like, you have those friends, they're there for a reason. Talk to them, be open with them. And that's definitely my growing glow for this week.
Oof.
About you, Tunji?
My grow. I need to be a little bit stingier with my money and my time. I
Mm,
need to be more responsible, especially with the money piece. I feel like with the time piece, overall, I'm making good and realistic decisions and sacrificing where I have to and where I need to. But
mm,
with the money piece, I need to be like, when I say this is what it is, this is what it is. When I'm spending this much this week, I'm spending this much this week. When I'm saving this much this week, I'm saving this much this week. And no store, I need to be just as unshiftable as I am with that as with anything else. And I haven't been. So that's one thing for me. And then that's my grow. My glow is my 2022 vision. One of them was Rhyme 365, and that was to speak every day to inspire myself
mm.
every single day. That's how I start the day. And it's day 41 and I'm still doing it.
Let's
That was this,
go.
right?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
get it.
Go.
And just like, don't get me
What
started.
was that voice come out?
Don't get me started.
Let's
Ah,
go.
I'll start acting a
Go.
fool. Let's get it. But for it to be 41 days and for it to be something like, especially because this is almost like a journal, right? Not
Mhm.
only does it grow my skill set, force my mind to be creative, but every day it lights me up. It brings me joy, let alone anyone else on the planet. If it just brings me joy, it's enough.
Mhm.
It's enough. And it's been 41 days straight. And that's the reason why I say I have no low days. At the top of my day is the thing that is most important to me, that lights me up, the active thing that I can do. And I do it. And then the rest of the day is like, let me ride this thing on out. Let's cook. So that's the glow, that it's life can come at you. And there are a lot of things that I'm not in control of. But the fact that I'm blessed enough to still be on, for it to be day 42 to tomorrow, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my glow. That's my glow.
You're,
That
you're
sounds like a form of self-love too, because you said like those videos are really for you. Like even though
Yeah.
you're putting them out to the world, is for you. Yeah, that's dope.
That made me. It also made me think of this Future mixtape.
What?
I think I forgot the name of the mixtape, but I just remember he said like 56 nights straight, Jet.
Yeah. Because
I
56 nights, right?
56 nights. That's what I thought it was
yeah.
called.
DJ Esco, yeah.
Because I think DJ Esco got locked up in like some Arab
Dubai?
prison, Dubai,
Yeah,
some shit like that. Yeah, the hard drive got stolen. It was recorded 56 nights straight, Jet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's what it is, 365, and it's a blessing, and it's shifted how I think, how I move, my center. So when we talk about glows, it causes me to glow. So it's a beautiful thing.
Facts.
Hey, y'all. Well, we are wrapping up the second episode of Pivotal Proceed Podcast. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hope you got a little God in you. Hope you got a little God came through the stereo today.
Right? Some gems, some blessings.
Therapy too.
Right, real talk.
I
feel better. I'm not gonna lie to you. I always do.
We're giving y'all our heart and souls.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Through this mic. Hey, well, we hope to have you join us next time on our next episode. And until then, glow and grow.
Ooh, I like that. Hey, write that one down. That's it. That's it.
All right, y'all.
Love y'all.